Hey everybody, today I have for you a creative activity, nice visual motor task that is going to require a lot of different skills. And at the end, you're going to have kind of a cool art project that you can display if you want. So let me just quickly go through what your supplies are that you'll need. They're on the screen here. So notebook paper, unlined paper, construction paper, a pencil, either coloring pencils or crayons, 3 or 4 of them, uh, a glue stick, a hole punch, and some reinforcement labels. If you don't have reinforcement labels, you can actually use tape to reinforce your holes, and then pipe cleaner. So if you have those things, I think that pretty much will get you what you need for this activity. So let me switch back over and talk to you just a minute about what we're going to do. Okay, so what I have come up with for this task is something that challenges almost all of the visual motor skills that a student will need to have, early in school. So manipulating pencil, using scissors appropriately, grip strength, eye-hand coordination, and as always, there's a little element of creativity that's involved in this activity. So what I'm going to do, instead of going through the whole project for you in details, I've kind of broken it up in stages so that you don't have to sit here and watch me create the whole thing. It may take a little bit longer than than the time I normally would have for one of these videos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear out some of these materials so that you can see better what the end product is going to be. So let me switch over to my other camera. Okay, so you can see right here, what I have is a three-dimensional star, and then behind that I have some other components that basically were glued onto this star. So if I were instructing you on how to do this activity, one of the things I would do is I would bring up to you a blank sheet of paper, and then we'd sort of work through this process step by step. Now, the reason you see these circles on here is that they are ways that I've oriented my students so that they can have a fairly accurate, proportionally designed star by the time we go through the end of the process. So basically what we do is I'll say, and sometimes I'll use a crayon or a marker, and I'll say, all right, so what I want you to do is go to the top of your page, and right in the middle I want you to make a circle, or if you're like using a crayon, just make a blue mark, and then you come down to the bottom, right in the middle, same thing. All right, so if we're using different colors, we might then switch to another crayon, and we'll go, okay, now let's go to this side, a little bit above halfway, make a circle, and then the opposite side do that. Okay, so once they've done that, then I'll have them connect these lines right there. Okay, and so then they'll basically have a grid that makes the paper divided into 4 pieces. All right, so and then in each section I'll have them go out from the middle and make a circle in each section, and then they will go back and they'll connect that. Okay, so if it's color coded, say we decided to do it with an orange color that's at the top and the bottom, because those would be the same, and then we decided that on these X's we would put blue. All right, so this would have been what you did at the beginning. So then I might give as an instruction, what I want you to do is go to the top and then connect the orange to the blue. Okay, and then if we're using another color for this side and this side, then I would again use the colors to instruct. Okay, go from blue to yellow, yellow to blue, blue to orange. Okay, so then they work through it that way. All right, and once they've done that, if you've ever seen these 3-dimensional stars, you encourage them to just pick 2 colors. Any 2 colors will work. Colors of their choice. So you could, and what you do is you color every other one. You color one color, and then you color the next one the other color, and you go all the way around with just those 2 colors. All right, it creates that. All right, then what I want my students to do after that is get their scissors and cut this out, okay? Just a little quick comment about scissor position. I always like for you to have an open hand position with your scissors. So if you see the student turning their hand over like that, which is pretty common with young students, what I want you to do is encourage them to turn their hand open and hold the paper on the other side. Now, the great thing about practicing cutting with these is that they're all straight lines, and you don't have to get inside and then cut out. You can always just have them rotate the paper, and every cut could actually be the same position, okay? All of them can be straight like that. They just have to remember to rotate the paper. So it's actually good exercise using their assisting hand to get involved in the project. So once they've done that, you'll have something that's like this. Now you'll notice that this is wrinkled, but the reason this is wrinkled, I've already gone through the next step of the process. But basically, once you've created that, the next thing I want you to do is crumple it up. The first time I did this activity with a student, lighting is kind of off, but maybe this is sort of because this is a light color here. But anyways, the first time I had a student do this, he had a star that he was really proud of, and then I said, okay, now do this to it. And you saw his eyes get really big. I was like, no, this is good for you. So the reason we're doing this, there are two reasons. So the artistic part of that is that it's going to make a textured design, but the therapeutic part is that we're working on grip strengthening. So they squeeze, and then they carefully open up and try not to tear it, okay? And so once they've done that, a number of times, probably somewhere between 5 and 10 times, you get you a nice little wrinkled look to it, okay? So now it has some texture. All right. So then once you've done that, you put that to the side, get you a sheet of construction paper, and what I would do is I would fold it in half. Fold it in half, and you can measure it out if you want every side to be even, but you can also just sort of eyeball it, and you're going to make 1, 2, 3, 4 lines, okay? Because what you're going to have is you want 5. If you remember back in my original design, so I've got 5 strips here, okay? So, and the reason I fold the paper in half is because you want to get 2 strips, okay? It's going to make your star stable when you get to the point where you want to hang it up and put it on a wall or someplace like that. So what you do with this is once you've folded this in half, then you just go in here and you cut these strips. And when I first was coming up with this activity, I did not fold the paper, and so my strips were not even. But if you fold the paper and you cut these strips, then you have them matching size, even if you didn't measure that out. Okay, so then you cut all these. Obviously, when you get to the middle there and you've cut that one, you're going to have a piece in the middle, so you're just going to have to try to cut the best you can right along that line as well. Okay, so that's that part of it. Now I'll bring this design back up here. You'll see in the background what we've done is we have just a plain white sheet of paper. So it started off just a piece of printer paper, just like that. And I just have the students coloring all the way across the paper. Usually just one color, but you could use multiple colors if you wanted to. And what I'm really doing at this point is I'm trying to encourage a good pencil grasp, so a tripod grasp during an activity where they don't have to concentrate on how to form a letter or how to form a shape. It's just basically you get your hand in the right position and then you just color the page. So it's good practice. Now, if you do switch to multiple colors, that also creates an opportunity to sort of reinforce the pencil grip. So you say, okay, so let's make this 2 different colors. Okay, so once you get to the point where you decide, all right, we've got enough yellow there, we're going to stop and switch over. Okay, then all of a sudden you go here and you see your kid grip the pencil like this or some other way that's not appropriate. Well, it gives you an opportunity to go back. Okay, make a fist, stick your thumb out, first finger out, lay that in there, pinch it, and let that helper finger come over and get in place. And now you got reinforcement of the tripod grasp, and you just color some more. Okay, so you can do it like that. I didn't do it on mine, but that's a good way to do it. I do a lot of times with my activities, I like to have kids switch from pencil to a crayon or even from different colored crayons because I want to reinforce them getting their pencil or their crayon with the right grip. So that's one way they don't even think about when you're switching them that they are reinforcing that. Okay. So once you get this, then you're going to then again, this is one where you're going to squeeze it. All right. Turn it into a ball. Squeeze it as tight as you can. It's a great grip strengthening activity. With this one, the one that I used in my example, I probably squeezed that one 20 or 30 times, and so it's really crinkled up, soft texture, makes something different for you to look at. So once you've done that several times, then you come back with your strips. Now this paper, what you'll notice once you've done it several times is the paper will shrink up. Even as you're trying to push it back out, it'll shrink up, it'll draw up. And so what you'll do then is you're going to get your glue stick. You get your glue stick and you're gonna put it on one side at the top, stick it on really good, flip it over, and then you're gonna come back with the other side, same thing with glue stick, and you're gonna try to match them up, okay? So they're even. And you go all the way down like that, okay? But skipping spaces, I should mention that. Skipping spaces, I guess you could, in theory, do them all the way down, but you would have to have 2 sheets of construction paper. I think artistically, it just looks nicer to have the gaps. So that's how you would do that part of the activity. All right, so we're refining the task a little bit more. So I'm gonna flip this over to the back side. Now you'll notice I did something different on the back side here. This is for your students who are maybe a little more advanced, working on their handwriting skills. Now what I have here is a few steps in the task. I probably could break them down better, but I just wanted you to see that on the back side, what I did was I had 5 steps to this activity, 5 key steps. And all I did was I had my student write 5 steps. I have them copy what you've written if they need an example, or if they are creative enough, they can create it on their own. So it's a good exercise. Now they do not write it on here. What they do is they use their regular sheet of paper, and just like they would normally do, and you just tell them, all right, what I want you to do is make a number, write down the activity. Write down the step. And then once you've got all 5 steps, now it's good that you skip a line or even 2 lines in between, so that when you come back and they've written something, you're going to cut it right in the middle. All right. Then you go back to your glue stick and you just paste these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. It could be a good sequencing activity for students. If you created the steps for them and said, all right, let's put it in order. How did you do this activity? And they do it like that. Okay. So that's that. Let me talk to you about one idea for hanging it up. Certainly you could do it a few different ways, but the way that I've done this one is I used my hole punch, and so I came to the top and I punched a hole on each side. You can see that, punch a hole on each side. So that's really takes some good grip strengthening, depending on the quality of your hole puncher. But punched the hole, and then I peeled my stickers and put them over the hole, and I did that on both sides so that this doesn't tear. Now, if I were to do this activity over again, I probably would have glued this at the top, and then this goes through there, so it gives it even more reinforcement. But this was sort of a first draft of the activity. And then what I did with my pipe cleaners, I just ran them through, twisted them to each other, so it's good fine motor activity. I tried to make them as even as possible, and then sort of twisted these into circles so that I have a nice little piece in the middle to hang up. And if I switch over to my other camera, I kind of hold it up in front of you. So let's see, get my lighting right. Okay, so basically that's what the project looks like in the end. And then remember the back side where we wrote our instructions on there. Turn it in there so you can see it a little bit better, but that's basically what it looks like. So you could do an activity like this with not just a star, but almost anything. You could, like one of the activities we've used with our students is using circles and simple letters, simple shapes to make a fish. So you actually could create you create some artwork with making a fish in a similar way, or any kind of thing that you're interested in. Cartoon characters are some of my favorites to do. Simple cartoon characters like SpongeBob or Tweety Bird or something like that. Anyways, that's the activity for today, and it, like I said, it works on a lot of different skills. It works on pencil and paper skills, works on handwriting, works on grip strengthening, cutting skills, and just overall pencil grasp, but overall creativity. It's a fun project that in the end you have a product, so you kind of get your own feedback from the activity. I should also mention that it's one of the things I love about having a project that has an end result is that I always want to encourage my students to, I don't have to be the one to tell them, I don't have to be the one to always tell them what's right or wrong with their project. I like sometimes to let them look at it and tell me what they think. You know, does your star look right? What would you do different next time? You know, what do you think about these cuts? Did you make good, clean cuts? You know, so they analyze it themselves, and then it helps them to internalize the process so they can be more successful in the end. So that's that for today. It's a great activity to do. It works on a lot of different skills, so I hope you will give that one a shot. Thank you.